there were a long gap between rate of imports and rate of exports in our country. Same in compositions of exported items. So here also we can classify exporting of traditional items and exporting of non-traditional items. Before independence, just we have trade contact between very few countries, and the most of the products we are transact with Britain only. Which country has lending and borrowings with other countries? So that is about capital accounts. Namaste my dear students, Shubha Hebba here, Faculty of Commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. My dear students, a warm welcome to this session. Yes, the session on the topic of 7th chapter, yes, that is external sector and nature of reforms in India. Yes, in this session we are going to discuss about foreign trade relationship of our country. The chapter which belongs to that third unit, so that is third unit of pre-reforms Indian economy. Let us start the session with different content, what we are going to discuss today. What are the contents? Quite introduction to the chapters, and second one, salient features. What are the different features of India's foreign trade, and volume, composition and directions of foreign trade of our country, and next the positions of balance of payments. What are the different components of balance of payments, and also we are going to discuss about import substitution, the Indian policy, that India's trade policy of import substitutions. Yes, let us start the session with introduction. Yes, the foreign trade was largely determined by the strategic needs of British colonial power and its British colonial power before independence. What was the conditions? Yes, so what was their intentions? Just they have treated us like we are supplier of raw materials, and that we had become a market for their final products which they have produced by their country. Yes, this was led to a drain of wealth of our country. But after independence, there has to be required to take measures to improve our foreign trade relationship. We had not a sufficient resource to manage for our requirements. And of course, there were a real necessary to dependence on other country for food and other very essential items. Yes, we know that there were a highest rate in imports and very less rate in exports. What it shows? It shows a deficit balance of payment conditions. Still, we have a lot of deficit finance with the matter of balance of payments. It is by only increasing in the export than imports. Yes, that is why we have to know about what is the conditions of foreign trade of our country. Dear students, let us discuss about what are the salient features of Indian foreign trade. First one, that negative or unfavorable trade. Already, as I told, there were a long gap between rate of imports and rate of exports in our country. And just after independence, we were depending on other countries for food and other essential items. And we were importing heavy machinery items, agriculture equipments and mineral oils. So importing of these are all items which have led to highest gap between balance of payments. Yes, of course, it will be negative and unfavorable trade in the foreign trade relationship. And next one, diversity in export. Previously, we were exporting very few items like jute, tea, gems, jewelries, spicy items. So these are all only very few items we were exporting to the other countries. But at presently, yes, that is more than 7,500 types of commodities we are exporting today. Yes, a lot of diversity in exporting items. And of course, we are spearhead in exporting of textiles and engineering items. And next one, worldwide trade. During the independence period, just we have contact with only Britain and some other countries. but at presently we have trade contact with more than 190 countries, and import only for 140 countries, and for export we have contact with the 190 countries in the world. This tell about we have worldwide relationship between different countries. And next one, change in imports. Yes, before and just after independence, we were importing very important essential items like food grain products and agriculture products, and also we were importing from them any machinery and capital equipments. And now it is quite different in the sense, and just we are importing iron, steel, fertilizers and other machinery equipments and edible oils and papers. So these types of commodities we are importing today also. And the next one, maritime trade. So about 95% of international trade which performed through sea routes. 95% of total international trade we are performing through sea routes. So these are all the different salient features of Indian foreign trade. Let us discuss about what is the volume and composition and directions of foreign trade of our country. The volume of foreign trade, which refers to the total quantity if share or contacts traded for a specified securities. Yes, the quantity of export and import items performed with the foreign trade. Totally 46% of total exported items which occupied by engineering items and packed food articles and capital goods. And it touched about $300 billion at presently. And also just forecasting about $1 trillion will be reached in 2025. So this is about exporting. And what is the importing volumes? Volume of importing items, 28% of total volume of imported goods. So that is petroleum products, oil, gas, which belongs to that energy sectors. Yes, so this is about volume of trade. And next one, compositions of foreign trade, which means that goods that we are exporting and goods that we are importing. Yes, of course, at presently we are spearhead in exporting the engineering items and capital goods and chemicals and allied products, and also we are reaching the level to exporting the gems and jewels and spicy items. And importing, yes, most of the imported products like petroleum and oil, minerals and technological materials. So these are all which occupied in importing sections. Import of capital goods. Import of capital goods which including that transport equipments, means of communications and other capital goods, and also import of raw materials, and intermediate goods, which including cotton, jute, fertilizers, crude oil. So these are all which belongs to that raw materials and intermediate goods. And next one, import of consumer goods. Imports of consumer goods including that food grain items, then medicine items, electrical goods, then paper. So these are all which belongs to that consumer goods. Yes, we have composition, import compositions. So one is importing of capital goods and importing of raw materials and importing of consumer goods. Same in compositions of exported items. So here also we can classify exporting of traditional items and exporting of non-traditional items. Exporting of traditional items which including jute materials and cotton and fish and spices and different mineral products, so which belongs to the traditional items. And then non-traditional items, we are exporting gems and jewelries and different chemicals and steel items. So these are all which belongs to that non-traditional items in exports. Yes, so this belongs to the compositions of foreign trade. And then directions of foreign trade. Yes, sources of imports of India have that undergone several important changes during the planning period. Before independence, just we have trade contact between very few countries, and the most of the products we are transact with Britain only. Yes, after 1991 adoptions of new economic policy, yes, we have adopted the globalizations. Yes, our foreign trade sector also has expanded. Direction in the sense, at presently we have exporting relationship with the 190 countries and we have importing relationship with 140 countries of the world. Most of the quantities we are exporting from USA, UK, France, Germany and different countries. We are exporting the different goods for OECD countries. So that belongs to that Belgium, France, North America, Canada, USA, Australia, Britain. So these are all different countries which belongs to that OECD countries. And OPEC countries, which belongs to that Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. So those countries considered as OPEC countries. And other LDS countries, those are Latin America, then some parts of Asian countries and then African countries which belongs to that underdeveloped countries. So this is about directions of exports. Directions of imports which particularly focusing on that European countries and America and USA and some other countries, and OECD countries which has a largest part of imports of our country. Yes, so these are all just directions about foreign trade. Yes, volume, composition and directions of foreign trade of our country. Next, another one important concept, that is about balance of payments. Yes, the balance of payments, it is nothing but a statement of foreign trade. It is a statement of systematic record of all economic transactions between one country and other rest of the world. There are three important components. So one is current account, capital account and official reserve account. That is first one, current account. It deals with exporting and importing of all goods and services okay. Yes, current account, it's statement of exporting and importing of all types of goods and services, and which including transfer payment also. So this is about current account. And second one, capital account. So this statement about debt and payment. Which country has lending and borrowings with other countries? So that is about capital accounts. And the last one, that is official reserve accounts. It tells about changes in reserve assets, particularly during a year. This balance of payments, it is a statement of foreign exchange transactions. And of course, it tells about the economic positions of our country. And it tells about the relationship of country with the different countries of the world. Yes, the balance of payments play a major role to determining the economic system. And one more thing, that monetary and fiscal policy which determined by the positions of balance of payments. Yes, so these are all about the very importance of balance of payments. It play a major role to determine the economic system of our country. Because see, if it is increasing in the import, it tells about the deficit balance. And increasing in the export rate, of course, it tells about the surplus balance of payments. Of course, it is very difficult to maintain the positions, equal positions in the balance of payments. If it is in the deficit position, we have to try to improve that exports, increasing the exports. Yes, that is why the government has taken several measures to decreasing in the imports and increasing in the increasing the quantity of exports. Yes, what are the different measures? First one, producing the import substitute products and try to increase the export items. import substitution. Another important concept is that India's trade policy of import substitution. That as began our planning for development, there were two important folds, that two important options. So one is, yes, lay stress on export promotion in our strategy, and second one, to adopt the import substitutions. Just increasing in the exported items and decreasing in the quantity of imports, it is possible by producing the import substitute items. So that is considered as goal of self-reliance. Goal of self-reliance. So this is the major objectives of planning. The second 5-year plan, just they have introduced industrialization, which try to producing the import substitute items. Yes, there were necessary to take measures to improve the balance of payments. It was possible by import substitutions. Therefore, the government of India strategy, it was just industrialization, just focusing on objectives of industrialization was focusing on only import substitution rather than export oriented policies. Yes, by the way, just they have tried to decrease the rate of imports and try to maintain the balance of payments. Dear students, this is the time to do end of this session. In the next session, we are going to discuss about export promotion goods and trade policy of India. And also we are going to discuss about exchange rate policy of our country. Yes, dear students, I hope you have understand the concept, and thank you all for joining me in this session. Keep watching, read well. Thank you once again.